to enjoy more band music in the company of Charlie Chester.
Hello, friends. Charlie here with a newcomer to the programme. It's the BTM Band, conducted by Denzil Stephens. Most of our regular listeners will know Denzil very well, but BTM needs a special introduction. The letters stand for Bedwas, Tritomas and Machen, all of which are near Caerphilly. Bedwas, Tritomas and Machen are a bit of a mouthful, so you can see why they cut down to the initials. But since January, something has been added, and that's the name of their newly acquired sponsors, who are in the replacement window business. So this is the BTM Alux Band. They're a young band in every sense. They were founded as recently as 1973, and 10 of their players are still in their teens. But they're starting with one of their oldest marches, and it's still in regular use. It was written way back in 1860s by Grafula, and it's called Washington Grays. Washington Gray's A Vintage American March. Nowadays, most of the best marches are played and enjoyed sitting down. When we hear them on the parade ground, it's usually for some big ceremonial occasion which doesn't have very much to do with the business end of modern soldiering. But the one we've just heard was actually used to help to get the troops from one place to another. Sometimes it was played on instruments with their bells bent round so that the sound came out over the players' shoulders. The idea was to project the music at the troops behind the band, instead of at the empty space in front of them. Well, the bands of today very rarely march to their engagements. They usually go by coach, and some of the coaches have become quite famous in their own right. Here's a musical portrait of the one used by the City of Coventry Band, City Cruiser. City Cruiser, Gough Richard's musical picture of a band going to work by bus. For the rest of the programme tonight, we're going to spend most of our time with the classics. Here, for a start, is one of Beethoven's grandest and most majestic melodies. It's part of his piano sonata, the Pathetique, and it's been arranged for brass by our conductor Denzil Stephens. Here, then, is the Adagio from Sonata Opus 13. the Adagio from Beethoven's Pathetique Sonata, and quite a number of Beethoven's pieces have nicknames. For example, the Appassionata Sonata, and the most famous of them all, the Moonlight Sonata. Most of those names were dreamt up not by Beethoven himself, but by his publishers, who then, as now, believed in plugging and promotion. I can see Denzil Stephens grinning, because he's not only a conductor and an arranger, but also a very successful publisher. In fact, that last piece is from his own catalogue. It's funny, though, that Denzil doesn't print the word Pathetique on the score of his arrangement, because that's the one popular title that is known to have been used by Beethoven himself. But let's move on to another of tonight's classics. The composer is Chabrier, and Drake Rimmer is the arranger of this ever-popular waltz from the orchestral rhapsody Espagna. Espagna by Emmanuel Chabrier. We continue with movements from two concertos from different periods and in contrasting styles. First, the greatest success of the distinguished Spanish composer Joaquin Rodrigo. Here, arranged for brass by Darryl Barry, is the second movement of his guitar concerto. The sombre but beautiful slow movement of the Rodrigo Guitar Concerto. Now we move on to our second concerto of the evening. It's by Mozart, and the third in the series that he wrote for the horn. The movement that we'll be hearing tonight is the Rondo. It's been arranged by Edrich Siebert, and our soloist is David Cornelius. Rondo from the Mozart Horn Concerto No. 3 with a terrific performance from our soloist David Cornelius. David is still at school. He's one of the many members of the BTM Band who've been recent or current members of the National Youth Brass Band of Wales. And in November last year, he won the title of Best Instrumentalist in the important contest at Port Call. If you're a regular listener, you'll know that the horn we've just heard is a completely different instrument from the one that Mozart had in mind when he wrote the concerto. In brass bands, the tenor horn looks very like a small tuba, and you work the valves with your right hand. In military bands and orchestras, the horn is circular, and you finger the valves with your left hand and keep your right inside the bell. That's just one example of the way that brass bands have tended to go their own way and do their own thing away from other kinds of music. But nowadays, that's beginning to change. The BTM Band, for example, tell me that they've recently sent a circular to the schools in their area inviting woodwind players as well as brass along to their band room to share their practical classes and lessons in musical theory. Eventually, they want to turn their band room, which was formerly the local cinema, into a music centre for every kind of music. That sounds a great idea to me. Studio guests, the BTM Band, and an arrangement by their conductor Denzil Stephens of the beautiful Welsh song, David of the White Rock. David of the White Rock, and the story goes that the composer, David Owen, got up from his deathbed to jot down that melody after hearing it from an angel in a dream of heaven. There's also a story behind our next piece, which is another of our classics. It's an air from the Fifth Harpsichord Suite in E major by Handel, better known as the Harmonious Blacksmith. Some people will tell you that Handel met a blacksmith at Edgware who whistled this tune in time with his hammer on the anvil. Later they put a few bars of the melody on the blacksmith's tombstone, but it's all a bit of a fairy story. The most likely candidate as the real original Harmonious Blacksmith was a certain Mr. Linton from Bath. He, exactly like Mr. Ackerbilk, started out as a blacksmith and later turned to music. Handel's Fifth Suite was his most popular number and became more or less the signature tune of the man who called himself the Harmonious Blacksmith. The tune was arranged for euphonium by James Ord Hume, who has given it a set of variations that are nothing like the original ones by Handel, but they're still a great showcase for the talents of tonight's soloist, Mark Hutcherson. Our Harmonious Blacksmith was Mark Hutcherson, and double congratulations are in order. First on a very nice performance, and second on Mark's marriage on Easter Saturday to one of his colleagues in the cornet section, Alison Hill. Both Mark and Alison have spent a lot of time together in the National Youth Band of Wales. In fact, Mark got the award as the most outstanding student on the 1985 course. By the time you hear this, the happy couple should be back from their honeymoon, which they spent in Holland with the National Youth Band. Well, now for our last number, and it's a composition by tonight's conductor, Denzil Stephens. Here's Promenade. Promenade, a composition by tonight's conductor, Denzil Stephens. But Denzil specially asked me to tell you about another conductor. You've not heard him tonight, but he's the man who really put the BTM band together. He's Kynan Jones, and he comes originally from Blaenau Festiniog in North Wales, but he's worked for a long time in South Glamorgan as a peripatetic music teacher. In the last 10 years, he's brought BTM band right up through the various sections from 4th to championship. In their last 97 contests, they've collected 20 wins, 11 second prizes and 15 third prizes. They've done particularly well at National Eisteddfod of Wales, the only competition where all the Welsh bands from all 3 Welsh associations take part. BTM have clocked up 7 wins out of 9 attempts. And of course, life isn't all contests. They've been on stage at the New Theatre Cardiff as marching band in The Music Man. They've been on TV too, acting as well as playing in dramas and documentaries, and they've got a busy season ahead in both contests and concerts. And this is where we must leave them to get on with it. Meanwhile, this is Charlie Chester, hoping that you'll be joining me and my producer, Peter Pilbeam, at the same time next week, when once again we'll listen to the band.